Hey everybody, Andy here. Happy Thursday, helping you build a career you love. Welcome to my live office hour show. We got a hot topics talk today on the job market. Loads of stuff to catch up with you on. We're doing this live in July. It's July 14th, 2022, or maybe you're watching this on a replay on a different day of the week. As long as you're here with me, I love to have you. If you are here with me live, get in the chat, say hi. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. If you're in any of my programs, let me know. What's today all about? We're going to talk about the job market itself. This is building on something I talked about a couple of months ago. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. I'm going to try to help you make sense of it, what it means to you. I want to talk about the trends. I want to give you some specific signals to look for so that you could foresee what's about to happen, so you could make the right adjustments in your life, in your career, in anything that you do to make sure you're making smart moves. And I'm going to get tactical with three little topics that I want to echo that I've been covering over the last month, which is how to interview employers and some key things I want to make sure that you are evaluating, as well as some assets I want to provide for you to help you become indispensable at work. And I also want to talk about pay raises today, and I want to hit some key points of things for you to think about. So I've had some major live shows over the last month where I've covered a lot of these topics in detail, but the one thing that I haven't covered is kind of a new, fresh look at what's happening in the market. I want to do that first because it's a great lead into the other stuff. So great to have you. Let me see if I can say hi. Music 80s, fan of Andy. I love that handle. I know you've been around. Ronald MGM, Job Searcher 1000. Let's hope it doesn't take you that long. Adam Stark, Jim, EGR, NHL, Aylin, one of my favorite people, and Beth, look at that, two of my favorite people right in a row, Beth Fanger too. Okay, and everybody else, great to have you. What are we talking about today? Job market stuff. All right, now I want to point you back to a video. In March, I did a live show. In April, we released the recording of it. It was called Job Market Outlook 2022. If you haven't seen it, it is an in-depth look at how we got to where we are right now, the evolution, last 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. I did it all in a brief amount of time where I showed you charts and graphs and everything about why we are in the place we're at with employment, with the stock market, with wage inflation, with price inflation and all that good stuff, and what it can mean to you in terms of what sectors I think will thrive in the next 12 months, 3 months, 12 months, and so on. I want to talk more about that today. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details I went into in that show. It's well laid out, and it all still applies because a lot of it was heavy on what was happening and why I think it's a great predictor of what the future is. But I want to talk today about some numbers that came out over the past couple of days. I mentioned it's July 14th, but yesterday, the inflation in the United States, the inflation numbers came out, the consumer price index, and inflation is still going up, 9.1%, which is a half a point, which is a precipitous climb from the previous month, which May numbers, which was 8.6. And when you start to look at some of the other factors that go into the fact that prices are still increasing, even though our Fed is raising interest rates, which is making it less attractive to spend money on things and borrow money. But the housing numbers are pretty staggering as well. And housing is a big chunk of people's paycheck. It is a large portion of their expenses. And housing in June was up 5.6%. That's June 2022 over June 2021. And if that doesn't sound like a big number, it's the biggest climb that we've had in 31 years. And when you also, I mentioned the housing because not only is it a big part of everybody's expenses and things we have to think about, and it's not just homes, it's rent too. But when you look at the core number of inflation, which takes out volatile areas like energy and food, the core inflation rate at 5.9% is still very high, and 40% of that 5.91% is housing numbers. So when housing prices are up and the Fed is raising interest rates, that's squeezing your dollar. It's making homes more expensive in general, and then the loans to carry them are even that much more expensive. And what in turn happens, the triple whammy there, is that rent is going to go up as well. So it doesn't matter if you own a home or not. It's putting pressure on everybody in the world. My wife, her son, who lives in Tempe, Arizona, not Scottsdale, not Phoenix, and not Tucson, pays $2,200 for his one-bedroom apartment, and his landlord just told him the other day, earlier in the week, that his rent's going up $300. So give me a hey in the chat if you're feeling squeezed. I'm feeling squeezed. I go to the grocery store, I look at the prices, and I think, oh my goodness. But there's something else that I want you to keep your eye out for. Is while those are indications of prices and climbing, what you need to pay very close attention for you all is what is helping predict the trend of what's going to happen. Something called the PCE, the personal consumption expenditure, not a number you hear a lot in the news. But when you look back at February, March, April, May, last 4 months of the numbers, it's been going down, 5.3, 5.2, 4.9, 4.7. And what does that mean? It means even though prices are still going up, consumer spending for durable, non-durable goods and services is going down. It's going down slowly, but it's going down. So it's starting to take effect. Why does this make any difference to you? Well, it's going to give you an indication not only of what's happening in the stock market and likely what will trail in the employment market, but it's also going to be a good indicator for you of what type of organizations to target or not target for your searches. So, and I'll get into some of that here in a minute of why that number is important and why I want you to watch it, because I'm going to tell you about some signals and things to look out for that'll be very easy for you to follow because it'll likely be happening to you as you're going about your work. Now, when you think about retailers, right? If we're spending less and less money, retailers are going to do what? Inventories are going to start to drop. Their prices are also going to start to drop because eventually, because they're going to want to shed the inventory. Now, if you think about that for a second, I mean, it's July, right? Mid-July, if you're here with me live. It's later if you're watching this on the recording. Holiday spending is only 16 weeks away. I know I know I went out for a beautiful run this morning. If you could see that sort of in that blurred out background there, that's my real house. It's sunny, right? But snow's coming anytime soon. And it's going to be holiday spending. And if you're a retailer, in 16 weeks are you going to be selling stuff where you have no inventory and people have no money to buy stuff? Right, so I want you to think about this, and you've seen recently that the stock market, since we talked back in March and April, the stock market has gone down. It's gone into bear market territory, right? We've dropped 20% off recent highs, so you can see that happening. Now, the employment market generally has a trailing effect. The employment market tends to lag the stock market. It always lags the stock market when the stock market goes down. It does not always lag the stock market when the stock market makes a recovery and comes back up. So if more people are being hired and jobs are being created, that's great. If not, and the jobs don't come back, it's called a jobless recovery. You might probably heard that expression, but that can happen as well. So I want you to keep an eye out for this stuff. So just to talk about a few things related to employment, the employment number is still pretty low. This is in the United States, but I know there's similar trends around the world. 3.6, pretty good number, right? And 6 million or so people still out of work. That's publicized. I know that those are not holistic numbers, but generally for illustrative purposes, go with me on this. Except that we're still adding jobs, and actually we're adding jobs at a higher clip than we thought we were. So economists estimated 250,000 to 250,000 jobs to be added in June, but there was 372,000. They missed it by 50%. So that is good in many respects. But that thing I told you I've showed you this a number of times, the JOLTS report, the Job Openings, a Labor Turnover Survey. I want to show you what's actually happening with that. And anybody who's actually looked at this, this is the JOLTS report. You can find it on the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. I look at this every month. And I look at it multiple times because they've always put a preliminary number. And I want to show you this graph of the last 10 years. And you can see if you can, I don't know if you can make out my cursor here, but if you can see, it's rising. And then what was this? This was COVID. And then we've been on the upswing. But if you can notice this little dip right here, I'm going to show you what this looks like. So back in February, we were at 11 million That's 11.3 million jobs that are open and advertised open. They're not all the jobs that are open, right? For those of you that follow me, you know most of the jobs are unpublicized. However, this is a good indicator of the health of the market, if not an absolute metric. So keep that in mind. You look at these things to understand trends, not absolutions. Then it goes up 11.8. And now it's going down. So that's a couple 100,000, 175,000, give or take. But now we're taking another dip over 450, almost 500,000 down. So you've had additional jobs added at a greater clip than we thought, except the actual number of job openings are going down. This is your indication that the job market for the employees will start to cool off. Now, it's just one indicator, but it's something that I would highly recommend that you look at. But now, if you don't want to follow the charts and the graphs and all that other good stuff, and you don't want the economics lesson, that's okay. You come to the live shows and I'll help spoon feed you. Or you can do some of this. You can look for the signals I'm about to give you, and I wanted to think of maybe a half a dozen things that you all can look at that are just going to be indicators of what you're going to see changing in the market in the next 6 months. Okay, this is especially important for job seekers, but even job stayers. I want you to be mindful of this as you start to see changes in your current environment. So what are these signals? Well, I look at other things. I'm going to show you another little nifty graphic here, courtesy of the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if you all are seeing this yet, but there are shifts with employers as it relates to remote working. And I don't know if any of you know who Castle Systems is. It's Castle with a K. But if you work in a skyscraper or an office building, and you have those key swipes, the cards are swiped to enter and exit into the building or into particular sections of the building, Castle Systems is probably the company that makes the card. And what they've done is they've started to publicize some details of their tracking of corporate buildings in metropolitan cities throughout the United States. And if you can see this up here at 100%. So before the pandemic really went into effect a couple of years ago, there was high occupancy. Now, there are more below. I'll kind of scroll down here very quickly, but I just want you to get a sense of this. And this black line on every graph is the 10-city average of the 10 cities that they publicized. I'll show you what the 10 cities are in case one of them is your hometown or your spot. But basically, look at the drop off, and then this is the average occupancy in the offices across these 10 cities. But have you noticed it's kind of gone up, and we've had some dips, pandemic again and all that other stuff. But there's San Jose and San Francisco. Philadelphia is like right on the dot of average. Washington, D.C., L.A., Chicago is lagging, no surprise. New York is lagging, no surprise. Dallas is above. Houston, Texas. So apparently, if you're in the Texas area, you're doing pretty well. There's a lot of people back to the office. So why am I showing you this? Well, one of the things that you'll start to notice around you, mark my words, you will start to notice this trend. Now, I don't think that remote working will ever completely go away. And I think a lot of companies will embrace it and continue to embrace it as a perk for what they do, an invitation to work with them because it'll be a better lifestyle for you and all that good stuff. But I want you to start looking for these things, especially if you are a job seeker or even a job stayer. Workers back to the office. Now, you don't have to go follow the graphs. Just noticing, are there more and more people spending more and more time? Because I do think over time, employers will make the shift. See, right now, employers are still making a lot of concessions, right? You're still getting what? Flexibility in remote work. You're getting recruiters who are quick to respond, even those that are in different cities from you, or you might be fielding inbound inquiries from recruiters who are calling you. Hey, I'm in Atlanta. You're in Philadelphia. Hey, it doesn't matter to me. You got the skills I need. Would you be interested in talking? I think you're going to see a slowdown in that. Okay, I think you're going to see a slowdown in that, the reach outs. I think you're going to see a slowdown in responses. I think you're going to see a slowdown in flexibility. And I think you'll also see uptick in travel and some of these other things where companies feel these are a better way to do business. Now, I'm not going to argue with it. It's better for some companies. It isn't better for some companies. I want you to be on the lookout, because when you start seeing these things change, you know that the tables are starting to turn from an employee-favored market to an employer-favored market. They don't have to give as many concessions. Okay, so these are some signals. What else? I want you to watch that personal consumption expenditure number. It is the thing you should look at. That's going to matter most to you. The consumer price index is somebody going door to door, checking out what prices are costing, where they're costing, and all that good stuff. But what you're going to be more, yes, you're going to be concerned from a pocketbook standpoint. From a job searching standpoint, you want to look at, are people consuming goods? Listen, I don't need to buy new shirts, right? I don't need to buy certain things in my life, but there's other things I'm going to need that are more staples than luxury items or discretionary items. You want to keep an eye out, because if spending keeps going down, anything that's non-essential is going to keep going down. I went into detail in this in that Job Market Outlook 2022 video. Watch the inventories for particular organizations. If you are a consumer looking to buy something, watch the inventories going down. You're going to see there's going to be some fighting with the retailers with lowering their prices, but they're eventually going to have to lower the prices. But from a job seeking standpoint, if inventories are going down, that is not a good place to go to work, right? And holiday spending, keep your eye on this. Remember, most retailers make hay in the few months at the end of the year. Well, it's going to be a really difficult year for retailers, because nobody's going to be buying anything, and they're not going to have any goods, and if they do, they're going to have to lower their prices. So from a profit standpoint, that's not going to be good. Right? So I think you're going to see this again. I also think you're going to see, when you start to see travel prices go down, that's going to be an indication as well. Travel prices went way up, right? There was a huge bounce back because of the revenge traveling from the people who couldn't travel during COVID. And then they started reducing flights and raising costs. So I want you to think about this. And then what I was saying about, retailers. Right? You don't need to be an economist to understand this. If you are a technologist and you are, you're used to supporting retail companies, try to figure out if you have better chances to go with consumer goods that are more staple based than discretionary items. And I want to get into some of the tactics I want you to employ. But before I do that, it's pretty good. I wanted to get that done by 20 minutes in. I'm 2 minutes early. Okay. So wait, if you're enjoying this, click the like button. Send the message to YouTube that it's good stuff. Share it. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me take a sip. I tried to do everything I could to brighten your day. I took out my distressed polo that was orange. I figured no black or gray today. We gotta brighten their day. I brought my little flower cup out. If you're enjoying this and you're tracking with me so far, give me a hey in the chat too. Yes, it's really, really good stuff. Okay, so what's a job? Well, this is for a job seeker. What's a job? And actually, even a job stayer could be asking these questions. What's a job seeker or job stayer to do? You want to make sure, if you're mobile right now, meaning I'm changing, or I'm unemployed, or I'm changing jobs, or I hate my life and I'm changing careers, or whatever. You want to make sure you are evaluating organizations. You got to go deep. Go deep for Coach Andy. Okay, I need you to ask these questions, because I want you to make a great choice. Now, on June 23rd, I even put a little date there, I did a best questions to ask employers. There were 28 of them. There was like 23, and then I threw 5 oldies but goodies in there too. It's really 28. I want to revisit maybe one from each section, because I really just want to echo it. I realize not everybody listens to every minute of everything I say, whether it's on the YouTube channel or the podcast or the Instagram or wherever. But let's get into some of these areas, and if you've not caught that video, really check it out. It's called The Best Questions to Ask Employers in a job interview or something like that in 2022. And I really tailored these to current events. All right, on the financial side, which areas are you investing in? And what level of investment do you think it'll take to become number one? Not just dollars, but people and effort and projects you need, and products you need to launch, services you need to launch, projects you need to implement, whatever they are. A rationale behind this, you want to make sure you are getting into an area that is thriving and they're going to be committed to it. If you are going into a retailer who's asking you to work on a legacy system that they're trying to sunset, I'm going to tackle you and say, no, 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 don't do it, right? Kind of thing. So I just want to make sure that you are going in primed. I also mentioned that a lot of companies fail, not because they can't generate revenue, but because of how they allocate it. We talked about that. But they also fail because they are successful and didn't appropriately plan for success. What do I mean? You are always trying to work toward tomorrow's problems, right? What's tomorrow's problems? I am Andy, and I am the owner of the Mile Walk Academy. My first problem was I had to build a community so people knew who the hell I was and what I was doing. That's problem one. But the problem I'm working toward is to get them to like what I'm putting out there, it being valuable to them to the extent that I can help them at a deeper level, which means they need to buy my services or products. I have a sales problem, or I have a marketing and sales problem. Then what am I doing? I'm working feverishly, not just to sell my programs and services, but what? I got to service them. I got a service problem I'm working toward. And at every interval, I felt, guess what? Pain. Like pain. Excruciating pain. I would show that to you, right? Because that was the stuff I was working hard to suffer for, right? What am I willing to suffer for? That was it. Well, every company has this. Except that if they poorly position themselves, they fail when they get there because their customers are not happy because they can't get the parts they need or the answers they need or the call center takes too long to hang on or I can't get this to work or whatever. Okay, so when you are going into an interview, you want to know what the problems are and not just what are they, but from a resources standpoint, how will today's resources that you're hiring for fit in solving tomorrow's problems? Well, they won't. Or I'm just going to have to hire more people in the future, right? Or we're going to uptrain you and cross-train you so that not only can you handle selling to mid-market companies, but once you understand our product and service, you're perfect, you fit, because then I'm going to bring you up to the enterprise level and you're my guy or you're my gal or whatever. Right? Great. But you want to understand how the resources they are hired, not just you. Okay, remember, we are evaluating the viability of the organization as it relates to the question of, are you a good company? Then there are all the other questions. Are you a good company for me? Do you fit the culture? Do I like the boss? But these are all other things that you want to stack on top. All right, and then you want to understand how committed and patient they are. What happens if you don't achieve your growth? What happens if Coach Andy is like Nostradamus and says you're going to crater in November and December and January because you're not going to have any dolls to sell to the kids whose parents can't afford them, right? What's going to happen? How are we going to get through that? How patient are you going to be in the areas we're investing in? What's our timeline? What happens if we don't hit the timeline? What happens if the output? I'm waiting for a part on my brand new washer and dryer. I've been waiting for a part, and it's non-critical, because otherwise I would have driven the dryer back to them and thrown it on their lawn. 5 months. 5 months. My door opens both ways, except I can't just open it this way now because the plugs aren't working or whatever. Right? Like that kind of stuff. Okay? So you need to be able to ask them that. I always, any day for the rest of your life, anytime you're interviewing, you got to know what the risks are. What are the biggest risks to achieving your goals? What are your mitigating plans? What are your contingency plans? So on and so forth. So I want you to venture in this area. And then I also want you to make sure that they have learned from their previous issues. One of the greatest previous issues you can tackle is COVID, right? What was the last big one? Oh, COVID, 2 years ago. We really weren't ready for anything like that. We always had everybody in the office 5 days a week. We weren't set up for remote working, whatever, right? Okay, well, what did you learn? Great. Well, what have you changed? Right? You need to make sure that they've made adjustments. Well, wait, did you have, and then by the way, COVID was your worst one. How many people did you let go? How did you go about letting them go? Did any of them come back? At what rate did they come back? Actually, how many did you ask back and how many said yes? Or how many said no? Right, like go into all this with them. Go into all this with them. And then I've got another one that I don't think I brought this one up in the 28 questions, but I do want to mention this one because of what I showed you with the graphs of the different cities. But based on the market, based on the current whatever we're doing, what do you anticipate the landscape of the company looking like in 12 months? Why do you think that is? Everything from what we do, how we do it, the way we operate, the office environment, the working arrangements, right? I've been coaching a lot of people over the last, well, long time, but in the last, say, 5-6 months, and I coach a lot of people that interview with Apple and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Netflix and Amazon and all this. And we're always asking, I always coach them to ask questions about what are your policies going forward? Yes, everybody's working from home 2 days a week right now, and you expect that to go down. You expect that to go up. You expect higher. We're all over this, okay? And you should be too. All right, so that's the piece. That's the piece on how to investigate the employers, and that's kind of a mini lesson where I have a larger lesson in the live stream, or maybe we'll eventually cut that and make a replay of that. But that's a tight little package on questions I would be asking in a job interview right now. And let's just make sure that we'll just recap it. If you want to watch the full lesson, there's a live stream from June 23rd. It's got 28 questions. I want you to address the financial areas that they're investing in. I want you to address tomorrow's problems and how that's affecting the resources that they're hiring today. I also want you to know their commitment and patience level to achieving their goals and what that will do to their operating behaviors. If they achieve more, achieve less. And then what are the biggest risks? What is the previous major issue they had, as well as what the landscape of the company will look like coming up very soon. I don't even know how many questions that was, but I want you to do that. All right, so that's that little section. Hope you enjoyed that. If you enjoyed that one, maybe if you haven't clicked the like button, you can click the like button and send the message to the YouTubers that Andy's on his game today. All right. Oh, I did another live stream on June 30th. Maybe you were there. How to become indispensable at work. Now, I'm going to encapsulate this one in maybe 90 seconds because I just want to do a bunch of giveaways here. Maybe the team, lock and load, team. Lock and load these suckers up for everybody. All right, I did a whole lesson on, I probably told you some of Andy's dating stories, and I don't know if there was the underwear story that was in there with the polo underwear, that was in there, but basically how to look at becoming the best and most valuable employee. And it was about everything that you need to do, understanding what everybody does, effort you're gonna put in, how you're gonna approach it, skills you're gonna build, and then also you wanna make sure that you are collecting what it is you're accomplishing. So I wanna give you 3 assets as this part of the little hot topic talk. There was a CAG, a Career Achievements Journal. This is a booklet I put out like 6 years ago. It's awesome. 14 areas that I want you to look at for every discrete project you do on your job. Now, your discrete project could be the same thing over and over every day in case you only need one entry. Or it could be, I'm working on different projects. I'm working on implementing this technology solution. I'm working on building some infrastructure. I'm building a new software evaluation methodology or whatever. Those are all discrete. And there's 14 different components. The thing that is so awesome about the Career Achievements Journal is it is the ultimate pieces of information you need to include to understand the context of what you're doing, the value you're contributing, the players who were there, how long it took, how much it cost, all the stuff you wish you'd know like 4 years from now when you're putting your resume together and you're thinking back to, oh my Lord, what did I do on that project? I don't remember. Well, you would have if you'd have had Andy's Career Achievements Journal. Okay, take that one. Then there's LSBR. That's my leadership skill building roadmap. It's my 35-page booklet and methodology of everything that you need to do to go through Andy's 5 tiers of leadership mastery. So where you go through different layers throughout your career, and I'm not going to go through all that because you can download the free booklet because my team is going to drop it right in the chat. And what it'll do is it highlights the 46 different skills that I think every professional, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what your job is, doesn't matter if you are a white-collar professional in some form or fashion or aspire to be one. These are the 46 skills you need to learn. And I show you, I give you the methodology, I give you the write-up, I help you understand how to actually put an action plan together, a development plan for yourself. There's a tool in there to assess your proficiency at each level within the skills and also track your progress. If you, and so there's the 9 steps that I take you through to how to do all this, and whether you are in my leadership coaching program or whether you're just taking advantage of this as a freemium, all of that's in there. And then if you are a member of my leadership coaching program, there are links in the booklet to the actual lessons in my leadership library. That's a paid subscription. If you're interested in that, you can check that out, my leadership coaching program. That is a great skill building syllabus, outline, methodology, and something you can use for your entire career to build yourself professionally. And then the last thing I have is a little challenge if you want. It's called Master Your Craft. This is all these are free. All these are free unless you want all the video lessons, though, like 50 video lessons that go along with the leadership skill building roadmap. But I outline that. But I would highly recommend, just to kind of recap this portion, just check out that live stream on June 30th about how to become indispensable at work. All right. Hope you enjoyed that section. Now, all right. Pay raise. Now, this is a little, actually, we did a mega session last week. It was awesome. It was a couple hours. I talked at length about why this is so important right now and how the evolution of how we got to today with wage inflation and what this has done to basically put a disparity between individuals who are job seeking and new hires, let's say the last 9 months. If you've been hired into your new job in the last 9 months, probably pretty good. And if you've been with your organization longer than that, there is a possibility, dare I say probability, that you are likely getting paid less than somebody who more recently came into your organization. And to make matters even worse, that person who came in probably has less experience than you do, or at a minimum, they have less experience than you do at that company. And you're probably earning less. So we want you to make sure that your employer right sizes your pay. But regardless, I gave you a wonderful formula, how to go through it, what to collect, what to say, and all that good stuff, because I showed you a portion of a lesson out of my leadership coaching program. That live stream, unfortunately, is no longer available, but that's okay, because today I'm going to touch on a few things just conceptually. So if you saw it and you want a little reminder, or if you didn't see it at all, you can do one of a couple things. You can just take what I'm going to give you right now, or you can jump into my leadership coaching program and watch all the lesson as well as all the case studies, which I didn't even show you on my live show last week. All right, so there are 3 things I want you to consider that I want to touch on today. When you're asking for a pay raise, I want you to think about your accomplishments, and remember, your pay raise is about the future and what you're going to do. It is not related to past performance. Yes, of course, past performance is an indication to your employer whether you're a good bet or not. But the rate at which they're going to pay you going forward should be, for them, based on the value you're going to contribute in what? The future. How do you settle up in arrears? It's called a bonus, or it's called a spiff, or it's a here's an extra check for being awesome and thank you for all those projects. All right, so now accomplishments, estimated future value going forward. And then the juxtaposition, I talked about this, about what it would be like to actually pay for a new resource to replace you. So let's talk about these a little bit. All right, accomplishments. What do I want you to collect? I want you to collect your key accomplishments. Guess what? If you have the Career Achievements Journal, this is going to be damn easy. All right, and you're going to be able to think it through, and do not rely or expect your boss, your management team, your teammates, your children, or anybody to actually remember what you accomplished. Don't. They're busy. They got their own things they're worried about accomplishing. They're not paying attention to you, what happened as a result of what you did, or the ripple effects that will occur as a result of what you did. You need to bring that to the surface. What were the immediate benefits? We put the system in, and all of a sudden our call center call times went down by 50%, and our customer sat rates month over month went up by 10% every month since this was put in. Okay, those are immediate, right? Extended benefits. Was there anything else that occurred as a result of the immediate benefits? Those come in two forms. Well, in addition to the call times going down and customer sat scores going up, guess what else we got? We had more time to spend on the phone, selling more stuff to our existing customers who love us, even though something was broken and we fixed it. And then we sold them something else, or we sold them a new plan or whatever. So that led into additional benefits. Or guess what? Going forward now, this is going to be really great because next year we don't have to spend any money. The call times are still going to stay down and you're still going to get the benefits going forward. Those are extended benefits. Think about all these. You need these to show value, okay? And the extended benefits it's kind of like paying you commissions on something you sold last year for this year. All right, and then you got to go into estimated future value. What do I mean by this? This is what you get paid for. This is what the raise should cover, okay? So, current trajectory. If I just kept doing what I'm doing, I can do it faster. I can do it faster and I could do more, which means less money, more money, or whatever, okay? Right? Because it's a year later. You should be a year faster. You should be incrementally better. Okay, there's an argument to be made there. I deserve more money if I'm going to help you accomplish more, even if I'm still doing the same thing. New responsibilities. Maybe I'm a project manager. I'm still a project manager, but now I have additional responsibility, or I was a team leader, now I'm a project manager, now I'm a portfolio manager or a program manager or whatever. So I'm going up the chain, or I'm still the managing director, just a general term, but I was only managing half the US, now I'm managing all of the US. More responsibilities or new initiatives. I'm a project manager, and I'm still a project manager, and I didn't get a title change or anything, but the project you have me working on is so much more visible because you trust me, and I've built all this capital and clout with everybody on the 37th floor who loves me. Right? Kind of thing. And they all trust me. So you're now giving me bigger and more visible projects. I'm the salesperson. What was the example I used? The mid-market salesperson who now has new initiatives, maybe taking on larger clients, something like that. So you need to collect this because this needs to be part of your discussion. And then the last thing is the juxtaposition. And this is, well, if I wasn't here, what would it cost you to replace me? Now, you believe me, you can flower this up in a very nice manner. You're just asking them to consider this from a frame of reference standpoint. How much would that cost you in learning curve time? How much would that cost you in money? Is there additional expenses because you got to recruit? Do you have to pay for a recruiter to do that and get somebody to replace me? Does the corporate recruiter actually have to stop what they're doing over there to spend more time to replace me? Oh, there's nobody else in the company? Oh, there's somebody else in the company that can replace me? Great, who's going to replace them? Kind of thing. So are there additional expenses from a recruitment standpoint? And then kind of what I just alluded to before, the relationship capital. Hey, everybody knows me, man. Everybody loves me because I deliver all the time. And what happens? Guess what? All y'all, get this expression down. Trust is not transferable. It isn't. Right. Oh, you referred somebody? They're not you. Okay. It doesn't make any difference. Right. I know employee referrals, that's kind of trust and transferring to the new person. Well, if I disappeared right? Or if I just grabbed somebody off the street and said, hey, thanks for buying my program, I'm going to give you to so-and-so. No, trust is not transferable. Why do you think I don't train people to coach you from my standpoint, right? Same kind of thing for you, right? Clout, capital, trust. All right, so I want you to think about all of these things. So just to kind of recap it, what were the accomplishments, the benefits, the extended benefits? What is the future value you're going to contribute? You got to make these arguments. You want more pay, right? What are you going to be contributing in the future? And then what's the juxtaposition? Then consider it from another angle. You pay me $100. What would it cost you? I showed you last week if you were here, right? I gave you the data, right? And I talked about how a median IT manager that's a job stayer earns $116K on average, median really, right? Midpoint. And then, but what does a company have to pay, right? Labor IQ did the data, 139, right? If you were going to replace me, why are you giving me a 5K raise when you'd have to pay 139K kind of thing? And maybe a recruitment fee on top of that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you're doing that. And if you, okay, so I'm going to wrap that up. So those are my hot topics. Make sure you're keeping an eye on the trends and the signals. Make sure if you are job searching and you're transitioning to a new employer, you're asking the right questions. 3, make sure if you are at a current company, whether it's a new company or whether you've been there for a while, make sure you're doing the right things to build your skills and become indispensable. And the other thing is make sure you're right-sizing your pay by considering these things. All right, I'm living right. Said I'd get it done in 40, and I did, which is going to leave us some time for Q&A. So if you are watching this on the recording, I'll see you next week. If you're here with me live, we're going to the recording. We're going to the Q&A, and I've got a few just quick announcements. I hope you guys like that. Amy Willoughby, yes, the money tongue. Couple of announcements. Next Thursday, bad news is live office hours is off. The good news is it's because my job search coaching program members, my boot campers I call them, are stealing that slot. So if you are in my boot camp on the interactive service package, that's the one that's fully supported online and live group coaching, or the VIP package, which gives you everything, I'll see you on Thursday next week. And if you're interested in joining that program, next week I am going to be running a special. It's going to be $200 off. If you have ants in your pants or are super smart and want to get in like right now, email support@milewalk.com because once again, Kara loves emails. She loves giving our stuff away for cheaper than it really should be costing. And she will help you by giving you a $200 coupon on the interactive service package. So that way it drops from like $997 down to $797. If you are somebody who bought the self-study package, for whatever you bought it, probably $697, and you want to upgrade, you can upgrade to the $797 package. Again, email support@milewalk.com, and we'll take care of you there. And then my Team Apollo members, we are meeting on Friday the 22nd, if you didn't get the memo or RSVP, and I'm going to teach everything you need to know about building a presentation. We're going all the way from the front to all the way to the back, meaning how to consider your audience, what questions to ask yourself, how to go through the talk and what the steps are that mechanically that you need to, what to include in the presentation, how to give the presentation, visual aids, stuff, movements, gestures, be like Andy stuff, the whole 9 yards. So if you're in the Team Apollo, I'll see you on Friday the 22nd. So that's next week. All right, so we've got some questions, and I can take some from the chat, but Kara is giving me some which look pretty good. Jojo, what if the company changed their direction during COVID? Should I ask whether they are going? Absolutely. That's what areas are we investing in? Where are we gonna go? Without a doubt. I would be all over that. That is a fantastic idea. That is a great way to go. You all should be doing that. Have we made any changes? Why did we make the changes? Are we considering going back? What would it take to get back on the right track? That is a great line of questioning. Really, please do it. Do it. Great one. Jojo. Office manager. I'm assuming you're an office manager. Andy, a potential employer is performing a background check on me. The background check company has contacted me a few times. Is this normal? They have not been able to verify 2 employers. They're, as a courtesy, calling you because they are not able to verify 2 employers. The reason they are calling you is because they are being kind and not immediately going back to your potential employer and saying, we're not sure that office manager actually worked at these companies, when they're saying to themselves, you know what? This company might have been bought out by that company, or that company might have gone out of business. Before we do anything silly, let's make sure we talk to office manager and see what office manager knows about these organizations. This is very common because companies go out of business, or companies merge, or they divest. So this is normal, and it's a nice courtesy that they called you, because what they could have done is just gone back and said, hey, everything was fine except we couldn't find these 2 companies. You can look for them if you want. So it depends how diligent they want to be. I will call them back immediately. Weather dude. Andy, previous job offer presented a salary just above the max in the hiring range. For the next position, should I negotiate the salary if the higher cost of living is an issue for me? Okay, no, wait, this is a really, really good question, and I want to calibrate something here for you. When you say a previous job offer presented a salary just above the max in the hiring range, technically, because this is important, because I don't want to nitpick. This is important. Just because I tell you the range is 100 to 120 and I give you 120 doesn't mean anything, okay? The range should have been 100 to 140, or I saw you and think, damn, I'm getting a steal at 120. You're hanging on to something someone said to you, that the range is this or the range is that. Guess what that is? Irrelevant, okay? You earn the 120 or the high end or the whatever. That's it. Don't carry anything else with you. All right? You earned that. You were comfortable with that. You performed well in the interview. You're doing great on a job, whatever it is. All right? That's it. That is like the rest of the stuff is just noise. And then the second question, for the next position, do you mean the next position within your company? If so, you can always negotiate your pay raise. They may or may not give you more. But at that point, now it could be that they're a little bit more strict on if you're going to move, or if we're going to give you a pay raise, you need to fit into the salary band. Maybe, maybe not. If it's a small to mid-sized company, the likelihood of that is pretty low. If it's a large company, it's a possibility. Now, the other element that you included was if it's a higher cost of living is an issue for me. The cost of living it's honestly, it's no one's issue. It's not the employer's issue, and it's not your issue. You could make an argument that I don't believe that $120,000 when I had to move from rural Pennsylvania to Manhattan in New York, if you're not going to calibrate for the adjustment, then I would either prefer to stay where I am, work from home, or whatever. You could make those arguments. It is appropriate to have the dialogue about it, but the way organizations are going to factor it in, it's a matter of that's what we pay, or that's what we believe you're worth, is really what they're saying. Even though if anybody says to you that's what we pay, what they're really saying is that's what we think you're worth. So that's how I would approach that. I mean, it's a great question, but just make sure you get that dialed in straight, mindset wise. Really good one. Civil engineer. Hey, Andy, I was granted a different start date for a new job after my request. Sounds good. Should I sign the offer with the previous start date or request an offer letter to sign with a new one? Wonderful question. You can do one of 2 things. You can say to the person who you're sending the letter to, this is very common, they probably will say, just initial it, scratch it out, put the new date in, initial it, right, CE for civil engineer, and send it to me. Plenty good. It's as legal as them doing it all over again, sending you a new one, and you typing over it. Wait, and just to take this to the bigger audience, all y'all, employers, when they are saying, hey, we want to put your package together, can you give us a start date? Just give them a start date. They just need something to put in the letter. Don't get hung up about it. And just say to them, I'm giving you this start date in good faith that we will, this is what Andy language. This is great. I love you. It's July, 14th. I'm signing this on July 15th, and I'm giving you a start date of August 1st. That assumes we're able to get everything resolved, and I'm able to give the 2 weeks notice that's appropriate. If any of those things arise where those are not the case, then I reserve the right to kick the start date back, because I at least want to offer my employer a couple of weeks. Something like that. This is normal, common. Recruiters know it. HR people know it. Don't worry about it. But it's a great topic. Great question. Music 80s. What do we got here? Is there a time where a salary at a current or previous position would hurt the chance of a job offer or job interview? The only time that would be the case is if somebody got scared because you let them know what you currently earn. Then you're going to say, Andy, well, should I tell them, or how should I think about that? And what I'm going to say is go watch the video that I put out on should I disclose my salary in a job interview. Now, I want to say this for any of you that happen to have watched a video I put out, like I did this in like 2015, I think it came out in 2016 or something, where it's called like negotiate your salary after a job offer. And I take you through kind of a point-by-point thing. It's one of my earliest videos ever. And I laugh at the comments that come on my YouTube channel, because in one of my items I said, and you know, if the employer on the application asks for the salary, just put in your current salary, or if they ask you what you're currently earning, just tell them, because that was normal, common, and a requirement. Most employers required that. They wouldn't even interview you if you didn't put it in. And yes, it's now 2022, and times they have changed, and now there's different laws in place and different etiquette and all that other good stuff. So I wouldn't recommend that, no. But a lot of people are like, that's the dumbest advice ever. I'm not watching any of your other videos. Okay, that's fine. But there is a time when you do want to tell them. And I've covered all of this in multiple videos. Should I disclose my salary? That's a video. And then there's another video that I put out there about a negotiation tactic to use at the very end. And the rationale behind this is, while your current salary is of no interest or consequence to me, if this is how I value the position, and based on your performance in the interview or my budget or whatever, this is what I want to pay. Until the very end, until 99% of this is over, right? And you are at the last stages of negotiation, you never want to pull out, well, I already earn a lot more than that, so I don't want to take your job offer because I earn a lot more than that, or I earn a little bit more than that, or I earn the 120 and you're only offering me 110. Why would I take that? You want to do it in a manner where you're explaining to them your viewpoint. And what happens when you do it way at the end, the reason you want to do it way at the end and not at the beginning, or not at the middle, or not at the beginning of the negotiation, is because you're not a team yet. And when they present an offer to you, you become a team. And when you negotiate, you should both be negotiating on the value and what you're going to be giving each other. And then if you can't get there at the very, very end, what you need to do is, what do teammates do, right? They communicate and work together to achieve a common goal. If I consider us a team and I've invested time in the relationship and I really want you, while I don't think you're worth the extra 10K, to me, I now start looking at the sunk cost of what it took me to get here. I also look at how I'm feeling about you. Maybe we've had dinner, maybe we've coffee, lunch. Maybe I really like you. I think like we could really be good friends, whatever, right? At that point, I'm going to say, is the 10K going to get you there? You're going to say, yeah. I'm going to say, okay. Because now I have to look at what's it going to cost me to go through this process again? Do I have somebody that's as good as this guy or this gal, right? But that cannot be pulled out earlier than at the 11th hour. Okay, so you got to do this the right way. And that video about the where I go into the tactic to use at the very end, his question was, Andy, I'm going to be away from my family. Is that something I can use as a negotiation point? It is, but not at anywhere in the process until the very end. And it's the same thing. It's, I need to disclose this, and if we're a team, you're going to care about how I'm feeling about it. For those of you that watch a lot of Andy stuff, you know the story I tell you about my family room in the paint, right? I'm not going to go into that to extend this answer, but we had a beautifully painted living room or family room, but my wife wanted it repainted, even though there was not a nick mark in this, and it was expensive, and I valued it at $0, and she valued it at thousands of dollars, and what did I do? Of course, I lost. Right? Because what? I value this as a team. I need her to be happy, kind of thing. Oh yes, the LaCivita household is very fun. Okay, what do we got here? Where are we at? Ronald M? Let me, did I answer? Hang on, let me just make sure. Hang on, I see other things in my Slack here. Let me just make sure. Okay, good. Ronald M., what are your thoughts about gaining supervisory experience in a retail part-time second job and its value to assist in finding full-time professional supervisory position? Ronald, there are many ways to skin life. How do I feel about it? This is the way I approach my life. I don't expend 1 ounce of energy doing anything else that detracts me from doing the things that are most important to me, the things that are most valuable to me, my contributions in terms of value, any of that stuff. If I had to take a second job to get supervisory experience in an unrelated field, it's my opinion you are distracting yourself and pulling away time from efforts you could be spending finding the best company where you don't necessarily have supervisory experience immediately, but have a propensity with that company, if you evaluate them correctly and they can convince you, prove that they have a track record of elevating their employees, giving you more responsibility, and so on. That's where I would be spending my time. Now, if I'm looking at you, and let's say I don't know what you do, but let's say you're an engineer. And let's say, all right, you want to go into retail and you want to manage the men's department at such and such. And I'm looking at you and you're an engineer. Zero credit for that. Do you know what I would say to you? I'm honest to God. I'd say, get rid of that job or you're not working here because there's no moonlighting. Because I need you fresh and I need you focused. And if I need you to work after hours, you need to, or come in on the weekends, and I can't have, I have my 8 to 2 shift on Saturday at the department store kind of thing. This is, employers think this way. So I know it sounds, I understand and I applaud that you are doing anything you can think of to actually I applaud you for that. I applaud you for showing up and asking me the question. I would caution you though, because that's how a lot of employers are going to look for. I get a lot of questions, Ronald, about people say, well, Andy, I got this side business. Should I advertise that in the interview because they're going to think I'm a go-getter? I'm like, no, don't ever do that. Because what they're going to think is you're going to be distracted. You're going to be distracted. All right, hope that helped. GM, do you have any advice if taking time off between jobs to relocate? Do you have any advice if taking time off between jobs to relocate? I'm looking to relocate in the future to be closer to family. If I was job searching and I was relocating because of the reason, GM, that you gave me, I would go. I would just go. Right? I'm in Chicago. I'm going to San Francisco. Sister's out there. Bang, I'm out. And I would look out there. I would just make the move if I had already decided, because I was going for family. That's different than, Andy, I'm in Chicago, and I would take a job in San Francisco if one surfaced because I like that city, or I'd take one in LA or New York or Dallas or whatever. That's different. If you've decided that you want to move, I would not make having a job the requirement. Now, you could say, this is okay too. Yeah, I'm equally good with this alternative. I'm in Chicago. I would like to move to San Francisco. You're reaching out to employers in San Francisco. You say, I'm in Chicago. I'm moving to San Francisco for family reasons, which is why I'm reaching out to you because of this. I live in Chicago now, but I'm moving to San Francisco. It's already decided. Family's there, blah, blah, blah. Great. You're on the phone with them. You work through the process, and then you say, okay, what's the relocation package look like? Right? That's okay. You need to, why would you do that? You need to diffuse their worry that something will go wrong with you moving. When you are relocating, folks, you gotta know this. It freaks recruiters and employers out if they have to move you, because there's so many more things that can go wrong. So it buys you more benefit by communicating it's already a done deal. I'm coming. Right? Good. Especially because family, because you want to tell them that, because that works to your advantage. And then when they say, well, you were moving anyway, say, yeah, but okay, fine. Add another 20K onto the base. You can negotiate it however you want, sign-on bonus or whatever. But you fight that at the end. But you need them to be comfortable so that they're engaged with you, because there's an huge extra variable. Because if I could hire somebody that lives down the block, I'm going to do that. All right. We got a heart. Hang on. Steve F. That's my boot camper, Steve F., which I'm assuming is my boot camper, Steve F. Start new position Monday. 2 other offers on the table. That's my boot camper, Steve F. L. And then 3 letters, right? So congratulations to you, man. I know you worked it hard. I'm so happy for you. I know you got a lot going on. And I hope the sun is shining. I'm sure the sun is shining where you live. So huge. Can we give Steve F? I'm probably late to the party here, but can we give Steve F, my boot camper, a huge high 10? All right, job searcher 1000. Andy, I am concerned about accepting a new job in another state as I am required to be licensed in 6 months. Should I be concerned about references being rejected, paperwork being lost in processing? I'm not sure I fully understand this. If you're required to be licensed in 6 months, I'm not sure if you're doing something that is a state license, like I need to be able to practice law in this state or something like that. I don't think it's going to be a big deal based on what I read. Based on what you shared with me, and I realize you only get 200 characters, job search 1000, huge congratulations to you. I would not worry. I really would not. Adam Stark. And after an interview with an event manager who felt was too senior, I'm assuming you felt you were too senior for the role, the CEO and COO want an interview to get to know me to decide if there's a place for me. Yeah, baby. Love it. Okay. This is what you need. Oh man, Adam. I know you're not in the boot camp. If you decide you want to get in the boot camp, there is a whole section. I mean, it's deep on informational interviewing. And for any of you that want to get in, informational interviewing, I give you the agenda. Literally, you can control this agenda. You literally can. I know it's the CEO and COO. You can still control it. What to do, what to say during the discussion. It's all outlined. And then when the discussion is over, what to write them after. It's not a thank you note. It's a different kind of message. All that's in there. If you do not want to upgrade yourself over to that, even if you get the self-study, Adam, it's still all in there. If you don't want to do that, I would check out my video on informational interviewing and how to interview without the job description, and watch those videos. And then, because you asked the question, I want to give you a live point here. Make sure that when you get into the discussion, I absolutely loved meeting with the event manager. And I realized that whoever it is, thought I was a bit senior for the role, which I very much appreciate that, that he thought I have that. Number one, I want to express that, the most important thing for me is to get into your company. I think you had a great company, and whether that role is from a responsibility standpoint as its scope right now is too junior, number one, it's more important for me to join a great company. But number two, if that's something that is a real challenge for you right now, perhaps we could augment the scope of that role to take advantage of my abilities and experience. That's one route. The other route is, now I want you to work that in somewhere in the conversation. But the best way is to understand from the CEO and COO, what are their challenges right now? Is it planning events? Is it getting people to participate? Are you planning events for the corporation? Or are you planning events for its customers or whatever, or from a marketing standpoint? And figure out what their challenges are first. And maybe start there. That's what the videos will show you. And then what you can do is you can kind of work down to, well, if there's not anything available, I want you to know, and then go into that kind of little mini script I gave you there on the role and how to counter the overqualified. But that's great. You check those videos out, and if you want the written scripts of everything, which are mega more detailed than anything out there on YouTube, let us know. Work with Kara. She gives stuff away. Okay, Jim, how many questions should I ask at an interview? In the past, I asked 3. It does not seem to be enough to get the good feel of an organization or the job. I love this question because it's difficult because a lot of employers don't leave enough time for you to ask an adequate number of questions. So Jim, couple of things with how to approach this. It's not the number you ask. It's, okay, what do I always tell you? Every step I've ever taken in my life, there's 2 things that go along with anything I attempt. 2, just 2. I'm going to win, okay? I'm going to succeed. And there is a great possibility I will fail. Okay, I don't do anything in my life where failure is not a legit possibility, because if you're doing anything in your life where failure is not a legit possibility, you ain't growing. That ain't a life worth living, okay? So all y'all playing it safe, just remember that. Now, let's go back to the first point, because I am going to win. I always think that anything I do, I'm going to win or I'm going to succeed. Because at a minimum, I'm going to look at it that way, because if I don't get what I want, I got the experience and I got some data, right? Okay. But I'm going to get into an interview process. They're going to hire me. That's what that means. They might not, but they're going to hire me. Now, when they hire me, this is how I work. I do this with my business. I do this with the people I coach. I'm going to win. They're going to hire me. When they hire me, what do I need to know? All my questions, all 80 of them. Okay? Hey, if you get to interview intervention free book package, there's 39 in the book. We throw another 75 booklet in there with how to interview the employer, and I just gave you another 28. If you can't take the 75 and the 28 and come up with whatever, okay, you're going to have enough questions. Then it becomes, all right, of these questions, what do I need to get answered? All right, what do I need to get answered? And then I got the other component is, when asking them along the way, I want to make sure that I'm selling myself. And I've given talks on that, how to ask questions in an interview. I wrote it in the book right there next to the pretty flowers from my wife's garden that I maintained while she was gone for 2 weeks. But there's all of that. Now I don't think about the interview. I think about the interview process. I'm going to win. They're going to give me a job offer. I got 8 interviews I got to go through. I don't need to get all the questions asked in this one. What I need to do in this particular one with the HR person is make sure I totally connect with them. What questions will they be equipped to ask for me? What questions do I, from a priority standpoint, need to know the most? Don't worry. You got the whole process. All right, Andy, that's great. But all the whole way, they only gave me 3 minutes each time to ask questions. So what? You get down to the end. Now, we're going to win, right? We're going to get the job offer. They say, hey, Jim, we love you. We want to hire you. Awesome. I'm receptive to an offer. I have some questions still. Some I can ask you, Mr. Recruiter. Some I need to ask Miss Hiring Official. Can I get some time on the calendar? Don't hold up the offer. But can I get some time on the calendar? I can talk with you. We can knock out a handful. And I've got some others. And I have a lot of questions, but there's only some that I absolutely need to get answered. I'm wondering if you could take some time. There's not an employer on earth worth working for that would not create the time necessary to answer all your questions. Why? Number one, I don't want any employee coming to my company without a full deck of knowledge of what they're getting into. Why? Because if you go there and you work there 2, 3, 4 weeks and you don't like what you saw, what are you going to do? You're going to leave. Now, I would argue some people come to me and they say, Andy, I took a job, but there was no way I could know it was going to be like this. And I would say, yes, there is a way you could know if it was going to be like this. Maybe you didn't go deep enough. Maybe you had blind spots. Maybe you didn't ask the questions the right way. Maybe you didn't ask them in venture into areas you should have. Maybe you only went a puddle deep, not kind of iceberg deep kind of thing. So, but think about it the whole way. Then what I would say is, all right, each interview I go in, however long it is, doesn't matter. If they said to me, acid test, hey, Jim, let's start this way. What questions do you have for me? I would be able to conduct every interview, no matter how long, and never run out of questions. That's another way you want to look at it. So I'm going to win. I got the whole process to do it. If I don't get them all answered, I'm going to request more time, but I'm going to request more time when they're about to give me an offer. Right? Because guess what? If you don't continue and they eject you early, who cares how many questions you ask? They're not going to hire you. You don't need to know anything. You're out of there. So you got to think about it this way. I love this question, but I want you to think about it this way. Grab the book deal. Grab the book deals for $7. You get the $30 hardbound, that thing. You get the $9 ebook. You get the audiobook that you can't get anywhere. You get the How to Interview the Employer, 75 great questions to ask before you take any job. There's 75. Go check the live stream. You get another 28, right? My 9 semesters of higher math say that's 103 questions right there. So check that out. That's a great question. I like that. I know this is a toughie, right? Because you don't necessarily think in those terms. You're gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. EGR, Andy, are there any differences when interviewing and how to negotiate job offers for companies versus state and local government technical and admin positions? My short answer on state, municipalities, and government, and even the federal government, you are dealing with a more strict or rigid framework of salaries, in which case you are not necessarily arguing so much about the salary as you are the level at which you're going in and where they're placing you. Because normally they have kind of laddered or seated or whatever you want to call it, kind of a grid. You're a B, a C, a C1, a C2, a C3, like that. So you are trying to negotiate where they're placing you. Because normally it's like, no, this is your first day on the job. You're a C1, you earn that kind of thing. Aylin, how do I recover when the employer is asking for a salary number and I'm pretty sure they can't afford me, but I want to work there because I'd be able to work in both official languages? Okay. So this is common, right? Like they press. And I'm gonna go back to what I've shared with you, Aylin, a number of times, and I share with you as a boot camper, and I share with everybody on the freemiums and in the YouTube channel or podcast or wherever you will listen to me shout from the megaphone. You always got to push them off. I'm comfortable that you will make a fair offer and I think we will be able to come to a great decision sooner if you put together what you consider a fair offer. I trust that it will be based on how I performed. And let's start with that because I know there are probably components to what you have to offer in relation to salary and benefits and vacations and maybe bonuses or whatever it is that will come with your package. And I think it would be important for me to understand exactly what that looks like before I can give you any kind of sensible response. And I would stick to that. I really would. And do me a favor. You may be right, okay, that they can't afford you. But when you're going into a spot where you're negotiating, having that assumption, it just hurts you. It really does. Because most of the time, when you give a number initially, most of the time you'll shoot too low. Most of the time. That's not to say you can't overshoot. Of course you can. But most of the time, people are going in with limited thinking and lack of creativity in the way in which you accomplish getting paid what you deserve. And there could be variables, there could be they might be willing, because you speak, I mean, at least 2 languages, I'm sure, they might be willing to pay more for that. Good luck. Let me know how it goes. Beth, my Beth, how you doing? Hey, hi. Oh no! Got laid off this week due to budget cuts, so I'm back in the hunt full time. Love this community. Boot camper leader. Yes, you are, and we love you every bit as much. Can we give Beth a live office hours hug? And she's so great. She's gonna land on her feet. Hey, you know what? Give me a call, baby. We got a job here for you. No time. I'm sure you will. Actually, I'm serious about that. Okay, Jihain, boot camper. Yes, you are. In which situations accepting a new position with a lower salary is a wise decision other than being desperate? Okay, I love this question because this is how you should think. Like, what is most important to me? Now, my priorities and my preferences do not have to be your preferences. What would I be willing to take a lower salary for? 2 times, right? I started my own, actually, so one time I went from making several $100,000 a year to making 0. And then the next time I changed, I was taking money from one business and putting it into another business. So this business was negative. So as I was building it. Now, those I think are great reasons to take a lower paying job because you work your way back up. But when I think about pay, I look at the whole value package of what it means to work there. And my value package is about what I get to do. Does it make me happy? Who do I get to do it with? The people you surround yourself with or spend the most time with are going to make you insanely happy or absolutely miserable. The career opportunities, the trajectory, the assimilation and connection. Am I going to get to rub elbows with some of the most powerful people or people in that community or people that know people in that community that I want to get to? Is it a great boss or mentor? Could you imagine? I'm not being funny here. Would anybody want to do an internship with me and sit here with me for a year? What would that be worth to you? Right? You get me an hour a week, 2 hours a week. Can you imagine what I can teach you if you were with me all the time? Right? Kind of thing. So that's just me, just anybody, pick whoever. And think about what you can learn and what that will do for you long term. And Jihain, the reason I love this question so much is because so many people, what do I often say? The longer term you think, the better short-term decision you make. But what most people do is they say, well, I earn 110 and I need to earn 112 or 120 or 150 to leave. When I don't know how old you are, but right over the course of your 40 or 50 year work history, right? It's like a minute, right? 10 minutes. And positioning matters. And I could make a lot more money doing stuff that I don't like to do. So all of those things to me are good reasons. Now you decide in what proportion that is. Some people take less because they get to travel to all different cities or internationally or whatever. So think long term. Think what's important to you. All right. Kara's telling me we got a couple of briefcases. That's code for boot camp. Just little insider stuff. Okay, I answered in the chat. Okay, the sale. Yes. Okay. So Sharon Pavlovich, maybe. How do I sign up for your boot camp? So here's what I would do. Any of you that are interested in getting in this wonderful boot camp community where you see the little boot camper hashtags, I hope they're using them. We have 3 different packages. One is a self-study, that's $697. One is what I call interactive because it's highly interactive. It has online, it has everything. It has online support and live group coaching where we do like dozens of these a year, and we have one next Thursday. And to be in that package is $1,000, $997. But we're offering that package for $797, so it's only $100 more than the self-study. So there's a good deal. It's still $797, but it's a high value, and you can certainly look at the testimonials page and the case studies page and kind of get a feel. And then we have a VIP part to that, which is $2,500. And if you're interested right now in what's really great about jumping in today is you can go through the program, come to me next Thursday with the group and ask me your questions, and I'll answer them for you live because it'll be a smaller group and it's in the middle of summertime, so it's going to be a smaller group than normal because people are out on vacations and they're doing other things, which I want them to do. But for whoever shows up, I'm going to answer your questions. So that's a great idea. Email support@milewalk.com because it's not yet on sale. You're the insiders because you come and you show up to the show and you pay attention to me, and I appreciate your attention, and we always like to try to give you a price break, and Carol will send you a private link that will get you into that package. And then, and if you have any questions, support@milewalk.com. And then you have a question. I'm trying to pivot from supply chain analyst to product manager. Would this be covered in your boot camp? It is covered in various places. So I have, in addition to an entire section on just career changing, where I take you through the methodology that I reverse engineered from my 2 transitions, where there's 4 stages and 12 steps that you would go through to make the best career change. I also have supplemental sessions in the early part of the program where I talk about how you would look at your supply chain experience and then how and where you want to go. So here's where I am, here's where I want to go. And then I help you figure out how to get into, they're like little swim lanes, right? Andy, I'm not sure what steps to take. How do I get moving in the right direction? How do I make the change the fastest? And I help take you through a process. It's in a couple different videos where I teach you how to kind of triangulate that so that you're moving in the right direction and that you're actually not wasting any time in the event you decide somewhere along the way that, hey, maybe I don't want to be a product manager, maybe I want to be something else. But yes, the short, well, I guess the long answer is yes, it's covered, and then the third part of that answer is, and you have me. Now, I'm not being funny, right? Like, you ask me questions and people ask me questions. And as a matter of fact, on Monday at 11 o'clock, I'm interviewing somebody who made a wholesale change and got into ESG. And her first message to me in the system is, Andy, hey, I just joined your program. This was 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. And I can't wait to be one of your success stories. I'm changing from this to this, and I'm going to go through the process just like you lay out. And I hope one day I'm sending you a message. And a month ago, she sent me whenever it was, maybe it was 2 months ago. And then a month ago, she sent me the message. And then I said, hey, would you be interested in getting together with me so we could feature you as an inspirational story? And she said yes, and we're doing that Monday at 11 o'clock. So great stuff. So give that a try. We'd love to have you. And then Beth, who should call me for a job, boot camp is so worth it. Completely changed how I approach job searching, interviewing, and presenting myself. You know I'm just a huge Beth fan, right? Love to hear that. And I know you're going to land on your feet with cushy slippers, and hopefully I can help make that happen again. Dasha, I think it's Dasha. Andy, why do you say most jobs aren't advertised? Do you mean paid advertising on LinkedIn, or do you mean they're just not listed on the company's career section of their website? This is a boot camper, because boot campers ask smart questions. Yes, no, 80% of jobs are not publicized in any form or fashion. So you have a variety of different positions. You have the cluster of Adam Stark. Hey, he's looking at the event manager position. The CEO and COO say, hey, no, we want you to come over and let's talk and see if we might create one. There's those. There's, hey, we're doing a discretionary, private, non-publicized, discreet search. Search firms are looking for people, companies looking for people, and they don't want anybody in the company to know they're looking for those people. Then you've got, hey, so-and-so, we're firing her butt. We can't tell anybody and we can't publicize that. We just have to find somebody to replace her, kind of thing, okay? And then you have the turnovers. So as people are in and out, lots of times those when somebody leaves, those don't even get publicized, and a lot of times people are coming and going so fast that they don't get publicized. And then there's a host of other varieties. And if you're wondering why I throw 80, because we surveyed this. How many of the positions you hired for last year did you actually advertise? 20, 25, 15, right? And some companies keep positions open perpetually, even though they don't actually have an opening. Then it goes the other way. We're always looking for accountants. We're always looking for salespeople. We're always looking for project managers. We're always looking for a good marketer, kind of thing. So, true story. You sent me. I have not gotten back to you, but you. So, if I may, I have to go back through the whole string. But I loved your email to me. It's in the support queue, and you're like, Andy, you're freaking brilliant, and this works. And she was sending me, Dasha, who just asked this question about a bus hunting opportunity that worked. And if I breezed through it and didn't have a chance to respond, but I will. It was something like you reached out to somebody who was like the person, but then that person was retiring and sent you to somebody else who got you to somebody or whatever, right? Like, that's how it happens. That's how it happens. A lot of positions. The best placements we ever made as a recruitment firm were because we just showed somebody to our client. And they said, they didn't have a need. I'm like, you really need to check out this person, and this person might be able to help you. And they hire them. Great stuff. Great question. John Estrada, another boot camper. As someone who is done with going into the office just to do it, that is disappointing on the remote work going down. To me, flexibility of location equal quality of life. Wait, I'm talking trends. I'm not saying every company's going to do that. I'm giving you clues and things to look for in the market that help you understand the changing behaviors of the employment landscape. So y'all, here's what I think about before I come on these shows. I spend about 5 minutes just thinking about you. I get my tea ready at 8 minutes till, and then 5 minutes till I sit down. I either sit here or I sit back in one of my comfy chairs, and I think about, they don't do this very often. The thing I need to protect them from is one thing happens to them or two things happen to them and they think that's a trend when it's just noise, or it happened to be those two marbles, right? Kind of thing. Versus somebody who does this every day of their life, who lives and breathes and sees it in mega countries across the entire world, especially in the US, and have my finger on the pulse and recognize and can foresee trends and can look at data to predict what's going to happen miles in advance of it actually happening. And so don't get bummed out at the stuff I said today. Just take it clinically and think about what that could mean for you and what adjustments you should be making to make smart career decisions and smart targeting decisions. I know a lot of people that don't want to go back to an office. And there will always be opportunities for you to work remotely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Wayne's email, thoughts on NDA, confidentiality agreements, worth to have a legal person review? No. What can be gleaned about a company from these terms and conditions? Not a whole lot. They're not very enforceable. I would not sweat them. Just look for anything hugely egregious that you personally would not want to do. I look at these when I'm negotiating with my boot campers or whatever, or anybody in my one-on-one coaching, and they get an offer and they send me all the stuff, and I look through them and then I tell them. Believe me, I'm going to know better than a lawyer if there's an issue and how to counter it. But if you're in the financial or capital market space and they say, well, we're going to have to put you on the sideline for 12 months, I say, okay, what's the parachute payout? So what are you going to pay me to do nothing for a year? $1 million? Okay, fine. Right? We're saying you cannot steal anybody from the company for 2 years. Are you a capital markets company? Fine. Are you PepsiCo? That's a little ridiculous, right? These are the kind of things that, and then when you're looking at, those are employment agreements. When you're looking at NDAs, what? An NDA is an NDA. Don't say, if you're signing an NDA, you're signing that I'm not going to give away trade secrets. Well, most of that stuff is pretty normal. Boilerplate stuff. Right? And then there's repercussions. Okay, well, just don't do it. You're okay. You're okay. Don't worry about these. Let's see what else. How are we doing on time? Actually, I'm squeezed here, folks. I got to get running. All right, real quick. If you're interested in joining my job search coaching program, $200 off. Just email Kara. I think we turn the page on next week, mid next week or something. And we have the session on Thursday. And so if you want to get in now, go through it. Go through it. It's really good to go through it, to come to these sessions armed and prepared. And once you go through it, it's going to give you the blueprint of what to do, and you're going to do so much self-diagnosis, and you're going to be like, oh, that's why that didn't work, kind of thing. Get in, $200 off. And then if you're a Team Apollo, my lifetime leadership members, big presentation on presentations a week from tomorrow. And I got a lot of good stuff coming for you every Tuesday and Friday on the podcast. If you have not joined me somewhere on the podcast for the Tips for Work and Life podcast, please do. I know a lot of people follow it on Apple, but it's on Google and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Player FM, Stitcher, Tune In, it's everywhere. And so I release every Tuesday and Friday a kind of a hearty podcast, which I hope you enjoy. And if you're not on my email list, if you download anything from us, that gets you on the email list, or you can just sign up for the newsletter by going to the Mile Walk Academy website. And lastly, second to lastly, if you have any questions, support@milewalk.com. I love you all. I thank you for spending your Thursdays and probably other days and nights with me. Some of you probably have Andy going in the background binge watching, which makes me so happy. Send me a letter. Send me a love letter. Tell me how you're doing. We love to have you in the community. You got any questions, you know where to find us. We'll see you soon. Take care.